Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Behind Closed Doors. Before the video starts, I just wanted to tell you that thank you for all the support. I just wanted to thank you, so let's start the video.
Chapter 1. The Security Gap. In the high-stakes theater of global education, a single systemic breach possesses the chaotic power to reshape the destinies of millions, alter economic trajectories, and shatter public trust in the very concept of meritocracy. Every year, India's National Testing Agency shoulders the monumental administrative burden of securing the futures of over 2 million medical aspirants who sit for the National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test, universally known as NEET. The examination is designed to be the ultimate equalizer, a brutal sorting mechanism meant to filter raw talent from a demographic of over 1.4 billion people. Yet, year after year, the apparatus tasked with maintaining the sanctity of this vault finds itself fundamentally compromised. To the casual observer, the state appears to take the threat of academic dishonesty seriously. On the morning of the examination, students are subjected to deeply invasive, almost performative security theater. They are forbidden from wearing clothes with pockets. Standard wristwatches are confiscated. Footwear must be open-toed, and even the plastic bottles holding their water must be completely transparent. Yet, despite these rigid parameters imposed upon the individual student sitting at the desk, the entire national apparatus frequently collapses from within. The fundamental vulnerability rarely lies with the desperate candidate inside the hall. It exists within a fractured, deeply compromised logistical command chain that bridges the gap between the creation of the test and its final distribution. In recent crises, the entire national examination architecture was brought to its knees not by a sophisticated state-sponsored cyber attack or digital infiltration of centralized databases, but during a brief, unprotected 30-minute window inside a commercial printing press before the papers were even sealed into their transport crates. The vulnerabilities of outsourcing crucial state functions to private entities become glaringly obvious under the microscope of investigative analysis. Within hours of the physical papers being surreptitiously photographed by low-level employees, the stolen questions were rapidly monetized. They leaked into hyper-competitive coaching hubs like Sikar and Coda, trading on localized encrypted messaging channels for thousands of dollars per candidate. For the affluent, the exam was solved before the sun had even risen. For the millions who had spent years in isolation studying 18 hours a day, the dream was stolen before they could even pick up a pen. When structural failure of this magnitude occurs, the traditional institutional response follows a predictable, highly bureaucratic script: initial administrative denial, followed by intense public outrage, delayed federal investigations, and eventually, catastrophic mass cancellations or legal deadlocks that inevitably punish the innocent millions alongside the wealthy, guilty few. Over a span of 12 years, independent investigative tracking has recorded more than 140 major public examination leaks across various state regimes in India. These breaches have systematically compromised recruitment drives, engineering tests, and medical entrances, yet they have yielded an abysmal track record of actual criminal convictions. The systemic fragility is a direct byproduct of a decentralized system relying on human discretion, private contractors, and a profound lack of technological uniformity. This recurring pattern of institutional failure stands in sharp, undeniable contrast to an alternate model operating just across the northern border. The People's Republic of China faces an identical, if not magnified, demographic and sociological crisis. Every June, the entire nation grinds to a metaphorical halt as more than 13 million students sit for the Gaokao, the notorious National Higher Education Entrance Examination. It is, by every measurable metric, the largest, most fiercely competitive academic gauntlet on the face of the earth. For a Chinese student, the Gaokao is not merely an exam. It is a brutal, singular path to upward social mobility, a defining event that dictates their societal status, career trajectory, and family honor for the rest of their lives. But unlike democratic systems plagued by recurring compromises and systemic leaks, China treats exam security not as an ordinary administrative chore or a seasonal logistical headache, but as a critical operation of national security and social stability. The state recognizes that if the public loses faith in the absolute fairness of the Gaokao, the fundamental contract between the citizen and the governing party risks catastrophic erosion. Consequently, the defense of this exam is approached with the same technological intensity and logistical ruthlessness as a military campaign. Chapter 2. The State Secret. To truly comprehend how a massive, continent-sized national examination achieves a near-zero leakage rate across 13 million candidates, one must look entirely away from the classroom and focus on the deep, subterranean layers of state intelligence. In China, the logistical lifespan of a Gaokao question paper begins not in a standard academic office, but under the heaviest legal protections the state can afford. The moment the questions are formulated by a selected committee of elite academics, the physical and digital data are legally classified under the nation's highest tier of confidentiality, a top-level state secret. This is the exact same legal classification applied to military defense codes, nuclear silhouettes, and sensitive diplomatic strategies. By elevating an academic test to the status of a state secret, the entire legal, operational, and law enforcement framework of the country shifts. The creation of the test takes place inside highly secure, undisclosed government facilities that are effectively converted into temporary black sites. The individuals selected to draft the questions are placed into total, uncompromising isolation weeks in advance of the test date. They are completely severed from the outside world. Their personal smartphones, laptops, and any devices capable of transmitting electromagnetic waves are confiscated by state security personnel. The facilities are lined with signal jamming technology, and internal closed-circuit television networks monitor every hallway 24 hours a day. The question setters are forbidden from communicating with their families, their universities, or their peers. They remain in this state of enforced isolation until the final day of the examination has concluded worldwide. If a question setter were to attempt to smuggle out a single sentence, they would not face academic suspension or a civil lawsuit. They would face immediate arrest by the Ministry of State Security for treason against the state. Once the questions are finalized within these secure compounds, the traditional vulnerability of the printing process, which routinely compromises examinations in decentralized educational systems, is systematically engineered out of existence. There are no outsourced commercial contracts given to private printing firms susceptible to corporate espionage or low-level employee bribery. The papers are printed exclusively inside highly specialized, state-run military printing facilities or heavily fortified government presses under direct, unyielding police supervision. Every single worker involved in the physical printing process is subjected to the same strict isolation protocols as the question writers. The facilities operate under strict lockdown conditions, with trash, paper scraps, and printing plates accounted for down to the exact milligram to ensure no residual ink or discarded drafts can be smuggled out in the waste disposal system. The true marvel of the Chinese system, however, reveals itself the moment the physical papers must leave the heavily guarded printing presses to navigate the vast geography of the country. To prevent highway robberies, insider theft, or the illicit interception of transport crates, China utilizes a deeply militarized logistics network. The papers are loaded into specialized armored transport vehicles that resemble bullion vans used to move sovereign gold reserves. These convoys do not travel alone. They are accompanied by armed units of the People's Armed Police. Crucially, the human element of security is monitored by an unblinking digital eye. Every single transport box containing the examination papers is equipped with active, military-grade GPS tracking modules, internal thermal sensors, and state-of-the-art biometric locking mechanisms. These locks cannot be opened by the local drivers or even the regional education officials during transit. The digital authorization codes required to unlock the containers are held securely within a centralized command center in Beijing. The system logs every single second of the vehicle's transit, tracking its exact velocity, its precise geographical coordinates, and any unauthorized deviations from its pre-planned route. If a vehicle stops for too long at an unplanned location, or if the internal sensors detect a change in atmospheric pressure inside the container, indicating a breach, an automatic alert is triggered, and local military and police forces are dispatched to intercept the convoy immediately. The chain of custody remains absolute and unbroken, moving the secret documents directly from the central printing vaults into localized government strong rooms, where they remain under continuous multi-camera surveillance and physical guard until the exact morning of the examination. Chapter 3. The 2+1 Checkpoint. The security protocols transition from defensive logistical warfare to active, hyper-aggressive psychological deterrence the moment the individual student steps foot onto the perimeter of the testing venue. In many educational systems across the developing world, the process of verifying a candidate's identity is an archaic exercise in human bureaucracy. Invigilators glance briefly at a poorly printed paper admit card, compare a low-resolution photograph with the face of the nervous teenager standing before them, and wave them into the hall. This reliance on human visual verification creates a massive multi-million-dollar underground market for professional proxy test takers. Brilliant university students or academic mercenaries hired by wealthy parents to impersonate their children and take the exam in their place. To eliminate this systemic vulnerability entirely, the Chinese state has systematically dismantled human discretion at the gate, replacing it with a mandatory multi-layered protocol known nationally as the 2+1 security screening system. When a student arrives at a Gaokao testing center, they do not simply walk into a school building. They enter a highly controlled security gauntlet that mirrors the international border checkpoints of a high-security airport. The first layer of defense consists of dual, automated, smart security gates. As the student approaches the gate, they are instructed to look directly into a high-definition optical camera. Instantly, advanced facial recognition algorithms map the unique biometric topology of the student's face, analyzing the precise distance between their eyes, the contour of their jawline, and the depth of their eye sockets. This live biometric data is instantly cross-checked in real time against the state's centralized national identification database. Simultaneously, the student must place their thumb onto a biometric scanner to verify their unique fingerprint metrics. This step completely neutralizes the threat of proxy test takers. Even the most sophisticated lookalike, the most highly paid academic mercenary, or a candidate utilizing forged documentation, cannot bypass the digital gate because their underlying biological architecture will never match the state's pre-existing records. Once the identity of the student is verified beyond a shadow of a technological doubt, they pass into the second layer of the gauntlet, the physical and electronic screening sweep. While some nations struggle to prevent the smuggling of physical papers or primitive smartphones, China has designed its checkpoints to detect the invisible, hyper-miniaturized tools of modern, high-tech academic espionage. Every student is subjected to an exhaustive manual sweep using specialized, high-sensitivity metal and semiconductor detectors. The proctors are trained to look specifically for devices that operate entirely outside the visual spectrum. This includes subdermal micro-earpieces, devices so small they must be inserted deep into the ear canal using magnetic tools, designed to receive wireless audio transmissions from hidden accomplices outside the building. The scanners search for smart glasses equipped with microscopic pinhole lenses capable of broadcasting images of the exam paper in real time, and bone conduction communication devices seamlessly woven into the lining of ordinary clothing buttons or the underwire of brassieres. The state leaves absolutely nothing to chance. The screening is so absolute that students are frequently advised to avoid wearing any clothing with metal zippers, undergarments with metallic hooks, or even dental braces without prior medical documentation, lest they trigger a full-scale security protocol at the gate. The message sent to the candidate is clear before they ever see a single exam question. The system sees everything, and entry can only be bought through total compliance. Chapter 4. The Digital Shield. Once the millions of verified students have passed through the initial gauntlets and taken their assigned seats inside the examination halls, the security environment undergoes a profound technological evolution. It shifts from a passive physical barrier into an active, omnidirectional electronic shield. In standard testing environments across the globe, the responsibility of preventing cheating during the active hours of the test falls squarely upon the shoulders of human invigilators, often underpaid teachers or administrative staff who walk up and down the aisles of a quiet classroom. However, the modern security state views human monitoring as an inherently obsolete, deeply flawed vulnerability. A human invigilator can be easily distracted. Their vision can be blocked by structural pillars. They are prone to physical fatigue over a grueling multi-hour session. And, worst of all, they are susceptible to localized bribery or intimidation by powerful regional actors. To eliminate this human variable, China has blankets its examination rooms in an integrated web of artificial intelligence and advanced electronic warfare. Hanging from the ceiling of every single Gaokao examination room across the country are high-definition panoramic surveillance cameras. These are not ordinary recording devices intended for post-exam review. They are active nodes connected directly to a powerful, centralized artificial intelligence surveillance network. The AI engine is programmed with highly sophisticated behavioral recognition algorithms, trained specifically to analyze the micro-movements, physical biometrics, and psychological indicators of every single student in the room simultaneously. The algorithm continuously tracks body language patterns, measuring variables that are completely imperceptible to a human proctor walking the aisles. If a student exhibits micro-behavior statistically associated with deception, such as a rapid, repetitive shift in eye gaze toward a specific coordinate, abnormal frequencies of head tilting, micro gestures suggesting communication with an adjacent desk, or a rigidly static posture that indicates an attempt to keep a hidden camera steady. The AI instantly flags the specific desk coordinate. It generates a real-time alert on the monitors of the Security Command Center, allowing officials to zoom in with absolute clarity and investigate the anomaly immediately without disrupting the rest of the hall. Simultaneously, the physical airspace surrounding the examination center is subjected to a total electronic lockdown that resembles a military counterintelligence operation. The state recognizes that even if a student manages to smuggle a highly advanced micro device past the initial checkpoints, that device is utterly useless if it cannot transmit or receive data from the outside world. To achieve this total isolation, specialized radio monitoring and electronic warfare vehicles from the State Radio Regulatory Commission cruise the perimeters of the schools throughout the entire duration of the exam. These vehicles deploy full-spectrum, high-intensity signal jammers that create an impenetrable digital dome over the testing center. The jammers actively neutralize all cellular data bands, including 4G and 5G networks, alongside all local Wi-Fi frequencies, Bluetooth connections, and shortwave radio bands. Any device inside the building is instantly rendered deaf and dumb, completely cut off from any external server or accomplice. Furthermore, the radio monitoring vehicles are equipped with direction-finding antennas capable of scanning the local electromagnetic spectrum. If an illicit, unauthorized radio frequency transmission is detected anywhere within a multi-kilometer radius of the school, such as an accomplice attempting to broadcast answers from a nearby apartment or parked car, the equipment can instantly triangulate the exact physical source of the signal down to the meter, allowing police units stationed outside to move in and arrest the perpetrators mid-transmission. Chapter 5. The ultimate cost. While the deployment of militarized logistics, biometric checkpoints, and artificial intelligence surveillance can successfully secure the physical boundary of an examination hall, the final, most critical layer of China's defensive architecture is not technological at all. It is psychological. It is the absolute, unyielding certainty of catastrophic consequences for those who attempt to subvert the system. In many educational frameworks worldwide, the legal risks associated with academic dishonesty are profoundly disproportionate to the immense financial and societal rewards of success. If a candidate is caught cheating on an entrance exam in a system governed by weak institutional laws, the consequences are often purely academic and temporary. The student might face a suspension from that specific testing body for a year or two. A corrupt coaching network might face a financial fine that they easily absorb as an operational cost, and the individuals who leaked the papers are frequently released on bail, tied up in slow-moving judicial courts for decades without ever seeing the inside of a prison cell. When the prize is a lifetime of guaranteed affluence as a medical professional or a high-ranking civil servant, the gamble of cheating becomes highly rational. The rewards infinitely outweigh the risks. The Chinese state recognized this moral hazard and moved to permanently alter the risk equation by completely rewriting its national penal code. In 2015, under Amendment 9 to the Criminal Law of the People's Republic of China, academic cheating on a national examination was officially elevated from a minor institutional infraction to a severe, high-level federal felony. The law draws no distinction between a criminal who steals state property and a student or organization that steals an academic seat through illicit means. The legal architecture treats the act of cheating as a direct, existential assault on the fairness, integrity, and social stability of the state itself. Under this strict legal framework, the consequences of getting caught are swift, merciless, and permanent. If a student is apprehended utilizing a proxy test taker, smuggling wireless equipment, or attempting to purchase leaked materials, they are not simply given a failing grade. They are hit with an immediate lifetime ban from ever sitting for the Gaokao or any other state-administered examination again, permanently closing the door to higher education and formal employment within the borders of the country. But the punishment extends far beyond the student's academic transcript. The law targets the entire ecosystem of corruption. Anyone found guilty of organizing an institutional cheating ring, manufacturing specialized cheating equipment, or facilitating the transmission of exam answers faces immediate criminal prosecution. The penalties are draconian, a minimum of 3 years of hard prison time for standard offenses, escalating rapidly to a maximum sentence of 7 years of federal imprisonment for serious or organized operations, alongside catastrophic financial fines that completely liquidate the assets of the corrupt organizations involved. By removing the human element from the logistical chain, digitizing the distribution network through unbendable cryptography, monitoring the classrooms with artificial intelligence, and imposing severe, life-altering personal and criminal costs on any individual who dares to breach the vault. The incentive structure that drives academic corruption is completely and utterly dismantled. The contrast between a system plagued by perpetual insecurity and one defined by absolute lockdown offers a profound lesson to the global educational landscape. A public examination system can only function as a true engine of meritocracy when the state ceases to view it as a vulnerable, routine administrative sorting machine and begins to defend it with the absolute seriousness of an unbreachable sovereign vault.